In this video, we're going to talk about some of the why behind vCluster. So you may have heard of vCluster, you may be using it already, or you may be looking into using it. And your first idea of what you would use it for is something like multi-tenancy. Why multi-tenancy, right? Like what does multi-tenancy achieve? And the biggest thing that vCluster helps you achieve is cost savings. So saving money by not deploying more clusters, saving money by using features like sleep mode, and saving money by being able to use the same cluster for dev, test, preview, and more. So with vCluster, you can reduce Kubernetes cost and sprawl with virtual Kubernetes clusters. It's made by Loft. It's been downloaded over 40 million times. It's got 5,000 GitHub stars. So, but like why, right? Like why use this? What's the most important thing we can do with virtual clusters? And we can save money. So cloud spend's on the rise. Gartner forecasts worldwide public cloud spending to reach $679 billion in 2024. It's a 20.4% increase from 2023. It's a lot of money, right? Like how can all of these organizations save money? Well, let's take a look at vCluster. So 70% of organizations identified over-provisioned Kubernetes clusters as a leading cause for their surge in spending. And that's from the CNCF. So companies create a lot of Kubernetes clusters. So a separate cluster for every team, for every customer, for every environment. And that equals hundreds of clusters. So with some things, there's a cluster fee, right? So $876 for a cluster fee times 100 clusters. And then the platform stack is also made 100 times running in each cluster. What if there's like a better way? So what if you use virtual clusters instead? And instead of giving everyone a new cluster every time, you stand up a virtual cluster on one of the clusters that you're running, and you reduce the amount of time it takes to get that cluster, and you reduce the amount of spend it costs for that platform fee. Well, you also have stuff like sleep mode. So what are virtual clusters? Virtual clusters are a Kubernetes concept that enables isolated clusters to be run within a single physical Kubernetes cluster. So sleep mode is one of the features you can use that will reduce idle workloads cost by putting clusters to sleep when they're not in use. You can have a shared platform stack if you want. So you can run fewer duplicates of tools like Istio, Cert Manager, OPA, Datadog, and Vault. And then you can have multi-tenant clusters. So you can run fewer clusters by isolating multiple tenant workloads within a single cluster. And this can give you 50% cost savings or more, right? Like you can get more than that depending on what your use case is and what kind of workloads you're running. So seamlessly shift to virtual clusters, it's basically the same thing you're already doing. So if you're already installing with Helm or using Argo CD or something like that, all you have to do is change the target where you're deploying. You go from a cluster to the virtual cluster, which has its own API that's been stood up. It makes it super easy to basically lift and shift from a regular cluster to a virtual cluster. So you can deploy to a virtual cluster with the same tools and workflows. No need for re-architecting any software or changing your deployment pipelines. Transform your Kubernetes strategy throughout the software lifecycle. So in pre-production, you can empower developers with self-service Kubernetes. You can accelerate CI/CD with ephemeral Kubernetes clusters. And then in production, you can elevate your ISV offering with a dedicated cluster per customer, or build a managed Kubernetes service with best-in-class COGS. So what vCluster enables you to achieve? So you can reduce Kubernetes cost, you can create self-service clusters for dev, test, and QA, or multi-tenancy for production applications. And we also have use cases from each of these customers you can find on our website. I'll link that in the description below in case you want to find out more about what they're doing with vCluster. So the GPU cloud from CoreWeave leverages vCluster to run virtual clusters at scale. And here's a quote from the CSO at CoreWeave. Our Kubernetes architecture is one of our key competitive differentiators. vCluster Pro is a first proven solution for operationalizing virtual Kubernetes clusters at scale, and we continue to be impressed by the Loft Labs team and the innovation they ship to customers like us. Atlan, vCluster enabled us to turn our single-tenant software product into a multi-tenant platform on top of AWS. We decided to switch to virtual clusters to accelerate the provisioning of new customer instances. So they have a 99% reduction in real Kubernetes costs and a $600K reduction in Kubernetes spend because what they're using is virtual clusters instead of dedicated clusters for each of their tenants. Ada. With vCluster, developers at Ada can now run integration tests themselves and provision ephemeral Kubernetes dev and test environments whenever they need them. So they have 10 times the developer productivity, and they have one virtual cluster per pull request. If you have a ton of pull requests per day, and you want to spin these up and they're creating, preview environments, then you can also utilize sleep mode, which will put it to sleep if no one actually accesses it after that preview has been brought up. And then as soon as someone accesses it, it'll come back up and they can see the preview. Thank you for checking out this video. If you're interested in getting started with vCluster, check out the information in the description below. We've got a bunch of links to help you get started. You can join our Slack and ask questions. You can join our community. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can subscribe on YouTube. But if you have any questions, let us know. And thanks for checking this out.